Hi, this is Mike Ignatowski, the creator of the GreenFox spreadsheet, the spreadsheet that uses Excel programming to make the spreadsheet behave like an electronic baseball score sheet or scorebook, and it automatically computes the game stats, which can be a big time saver. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you find this video helpful.
In this video, I'd like to cover some of the new AI features in GreenFox version 2.35 because everything needs AI. Specifically, the features I'm going to talk about have to do with the better result pop-up window and the intelligent and automated handling of base runners. The first features I'll discuss here have to do with runner advancement. In this situation, I've got a runner on first base and the next batter's up. I bring up the batter result window, and I want to first bring your attention to some new features in here. The first one is this area of outs and base runners, which shows here the current situation. There are no outs, and because this is green here, that indicates there is a runner on first base. I'm going to say Bill Freehand's up, and he gets a walk. So in a case like this, where we know exactly how the runner should move, if at all, I click OK, and you see how Northrop automatically moves to second base. Now we have 2 on and no out. Gates Brown is up. Now let's say Gates Brown hits a single. Now in different games they have different options, but usually that's a single that might say runners advance 1 base, runners advance 2 bases, or all runners advance 1 base, and maybe the lead runner can try to get another base, or maybe both runners can. So that's what this little runner advance box does. If I hover here on this column X, it says all runners advance 1 base. X plus 1 is all runners advance 2 bases. And the last one, which is automatically marked by default, is runner advancement is inconsistent or unknown, so it won't do anything. So if I leave it at that and click OK, it doesn't move any of the runners at all. I have to do that manually. So let's say I'll just do that for this example. Now we have bases loaded and Willie Horton's up, and let's say he hits a single. But now I'll choose one of these. If I just say 1 base, it'll move all the runners 1 base. And whenever a run scores on automatic runner advancement, you're going to get this message that says run scored. Please review whether it's earned or unearned, and maybe you need to update an RBI. So you can see here it scored Jim Northrup, moved the other runners up a base, and gave Willie Horton an RBI. Let's keep going here in this inning. There's now bases loaded, or still bases loaded, and no outs. Duke Sims is up, and now let's say he hits a ground ball to first, and it's the case where it says a ground ball out, and all runners advance 1 base, or I don't know what's going to happen. These are the two on the ground ball. These are the 2 runner advance options. So I'm going to say this was a situation where all runners advance 1 base. So I'll leave it at that. I get the same alert when a run is scored automatically. And you can see Duke Sims grounds out to first. He's out, but he gets an RBI. And Willie Horton and Gates Brown advance to second and third. So now Norm Cash is up. We load up the battery result box, and you can see it says there's a guy on third, a guy on second. Let's say he flies out to center, and in my game I have the option of, well, do I want to try to have Gates Brown score on this for a sacrifice fly? And let's say I do. And let's say he gets thrown out at the plate. So in that case, it's this thing down here, this option of fly out double play. So if I click this, and let's kind of look at the base runner instructions once I click this. When I click this, now it says, okay, select the runner that was doubled off. So I'm going to select the guy that was on third, Gates Brown, because he got thrown out trying to advance. And because now this is a double play, I'm going to have 3 outs in my inning. I'm going to not click the OK button, but I'm going to say toggle the end of inning button. So let's click that, and let's kind of check on all this. So it's fly out, double play, he's out. Gates Brown is now out at home, and it leaves Willie Horton alone because it doesn't need to do anything with there, and it marks the end of inning symbol here at Norm Cash because he was the last batter of the inning. Okay, so the next thing I want to cover is fielder's choice. So then here we are at the bottom of the first. We have a runner on, no outs. Bobby Valentine's up. I click to bring up the bad result box, and let's say he hits a ground ball to second base. That's a fielder's choice. So click the fielder's choice button here. We can click second base to indicate that I went to second base. This is optional, but we'll do it here for this example. And you can see here in this box, it says select a runner that was put out if an out was made. And since there is only one runner, it automatically checks the guy on first. So this is a classic case of just kind of forcing out the lead runner, but the base runner gets on base. So we'll click OK here. So that was fielder's choice, and we leave this to default and mark it. It went to second base. So we see the fielder's choice to second base. Bobby Valentine ends up on first, and Alomar is out at second. So now let's say Winston Linez gets hit by the pitch. That automatically advances Bobby Valentine to second base. Now Frank Robinson's up. Let's say here this is a ground ball to third. That's also a fielder's choice. But the question now is what runner is forced out here? So if we click the fielder's choice, hit to third, and we get the same instructions up here in this little box that says select a runner that was put out. So let's say they got the lead runner here. So that was the guy that was on second is forced out. We say OK. So you can see here it says fielder's choice to third base. He ends up on first. Linez goes to second, and Bobby Valentine is forced out at third base. Okay, so let's finish up this inning. We have 2 on and 2 out. Let's bring up the result box, and it's a ground out to short. That says, oh, this could be a double play. But if I click the double play, you can see here, it tells me, hey, that's invalid because it's already 2 outs. So you can't pick double play, which is correct. So we'll just pick ground out, shortstop, end of inning. And that'll wrap up that inning. Similarly, let's head back up here to the first. I'm just going to make this quick. Let's say he strikes out. Let's say Eddie Brinkman gets a single. And let's say Aurelio Rodriguez hits into a double play. Now, the new AI part of this is if I say double play, ground out to short, I'll hit ground out, double play, shortstop. It says select the runner that was put out. It automatically knows that it was the guy that's on first because that's the only person that's on base. And now I'll just say toggle the end of inning because then there'll be 3 outs. So if I do this, it does all those things. It marks the guy, Eddie Brinkman here, out at second. It marks the batter out at first. It writes it in as a double play and marks the end of inning. So it saves a few clicks of having to deal with that manually. In this next example, I've got bases loaded, nobody out, Jeff Torborg up. And let's say this is a case of a fielder's choice, but they get the lead runner out. So I'll click fielder's choice, and it says which of these runners made the out. Let's pick the guy on third. Say OK. So you can see it marks Epstein out at home. Everybody else advances a base. Torborg is on. Similarly, let's say Alomar then gets a double in an error. Let's say it's the left fielder makes a one base error on it. So this results in all the runners going at least 3 bases, so that will clear the bases. So I mark that double left fielder, one base error, okay, and it's going to tell me each of these runners scores. So it's okay, okay, okay. Now, because there was an error, I could modify one of these. So let's say these two guys are going to score normally, but this last one, I determined that this person only scored because it was an error on the left fielder. So I want to make this run unearned. So I'll mark that unearned. Also, because of this error up here, it didn't automatically put the RBIs in. So here I need to do that. So I'm going to mark 2 RBIs and not give a third one because I'm going to say that the third run only scored because of the error. Regarding the automatic runner advancement or runner handling, I've added 2 new options to the game options sheet or tab. And you can see down here options 8 and 9. One is auto advance runners and one is alert when auto advance runners scores. So they're both on by default. I'm going to turn off this auto advance runner scoring. Then I'll update my game options. Okay. And now back to the score sheet. We have a guy on third and one out. Let's say this person, gets a single. Runners advanced. One base. You can see he gets a single. He gets an RBI. The run scores, but I didn't get the pop-up message that said, "Hey, I better go check this out." So you can definitely turn it off, but you're still responsible, I guess you'd say, to determine whether this run was earned or unearned. So if I say it was unearned, I could mark it whatever. I want to mark it earned, either way. So it's just a reminder. You can turn off the alert, but you still need to be aware of whether a run is earned or not. You can always change it and handle the RBIs accordingly. To wrap up this video on automatic runner advancement, let's look at just a couple more things. So in this situation, we've got one out, a guy on second, and let's just cover one of these special events like a wild pitch followed by, we'll say, a ground out where they advance one base, and it was a ground out to first. So what we should have here is a wild pitch, which should move this runner, Bobby Valentine, to third base, then a ground out where runners advance one base, so he should score. So let's make sure this works. And also, remember we have that option off so it won't give us a pop-up message when he does score. So you can see that's just what happened. We have a wild pitch plus a ground out to first. He's out. This runner ends up scoring. So he does get an RBI on this, but because there's this wild pitch, it doesn't necessarily know that he deserves an RBI, so you'd have to put that in yourself. One other thing I'll mention is there's some other error checks or safety checks added to the pop-up batter result. So now we have 2 outs, nobody on. There are certain things that I can't do or it won't let me choose. If I choose sacrifice fly, it'll say, hey, you can't do that because there's already 2 outs. Same with sacrifice hit. There's no runner on base. And even if I think I had a runner on base, it would say, you can't do that because there's already 2 outs. So similarly, if I hit double play, it'll say there's already 2 outs, so you can't have a double play. So they're not, they're not going to change the world, but hopefully they'll just help keep you on track for making everybody makes mistakes. So help prevent some accidental miscues in your scorekeeping and help keep you on track for keeping your scorebook nice and clean. Another safety check that I've added to the pop-up window has to do with base runners. And because the spreadsheet still allows you full control to manually manipulate the base runners, I'm just going to make this one intentionally wrong for the moment. So you can see right now I have 2 runners on first base. The spreadsheet itself isn't that smart to know you can't do that. So, but when I launch this pop-up window for the batter result, it'll tell me, hey, you have invalid base runner locations. Please correct before continuing, and it won't even pop up my batter result. So I have to look at my score sheet, figure out, oh yeah, this guy should be on second base, and then it'll work. So that's just another added safety catch that was added in version 2.35. The last enhancement from version 2.35 that I want to show has to do with on the score sheet. I've added this green button here that says select entire spreadsheet, prep for print to PDF. After playing several games, I found that a nice way to save a log of your games without saving a spreadsheet for every game is just to save the score sheet as a PDF. Now here I only played 3 innings of this game, but I did the stats anyway just so I could demonstrate this. So if you click this button here, you'll see it selects the spreadsheet area, and then it says, hey, now you can print the score sheet to a PDF file. Be sure to set the print contents to selection and not the active sheet. So I'll say OK. Maybe I'll first zoom out here so you can see it better. Maybe a little more here. But you can see this is the area it selects, kind of like just the entire score sheet and game stats areas. So now I'd recommend you don't do that to print it, but let's go back up to 100. And now if I go up to my print button under the file menu, print, what I want to choose is print to PDF. Yours might say something different, but you might hopefully have a PDF option. And then underneath the settings, it will default to print active sheets. You want to change that to just say print selection. You see that will then expand this. I like to use tabloid, which is 11 by 17 in landscape, just to saves it as a little bit bigger image. You can do this, choose whatever you want for that, but by the print selection, it'll try to expand it. Especially, I found down here that the bottom setting, I say fit on one sheet, and that turns out it looks pretty bad when it's decimated down to fit here to show you, but when you then say print and save it to a file, it looks good. So as an example, I'll just put in here as a test. But let me see if I look at one of these ones that I'd printed already. I look at Nolan Ryan's 13th game. You can see, and I can zoom in on this, but it's very clear. It looks nice. If I wanted to go back and look at something, or for whatever reason, or if you wanted to take a screenshot of this, or even just crop out a section of this to post on some Facebook group or whatever you want to do, it ends up with a nice result. So that's the last thing I wanted to show regarding how to save your game score sheet to a PDF file.
That wraps up this video. Thanks again for watching, and please feel free to leave me some feedback regarding what you like about the video, what you like about the spreadsheet, and just as important, what you don't like and ways you think it could even be better. Thanks again.